Lord. Hello, everybody. I am here to do a review for Divorced Sisters. Of course, this is a new show by Tyler Perry, and it I enjoyed the show. I'm not going to fake. I enjoyed, at least I did. I enjoyed the first episode. Um, All things in this video are alleged. They are from my opinions only. They are used for entertainment purposes. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Feel free to share the video and all that good stuff. Anyway, this is season 1, episode 1, and it is The Pretty Lady. So let's get started. Okay. It starts out with Tiffany. Let me see. Can I go back? Let me start this over. Trying to see if I can pause this thing. But either way it go. This is Tiffany. No, this is not. This is Tiffany. This is Naomi. This is Rashida. This is Bridget. They are the divorced sisters. So if I get this together. Let me get this together, y'all. Let me get this together. Let's just use my little mouse here. And this, Kadeen, she is playing Geneva, and she is married to a guy named William. She went through IVF, and she had a daughter, and her name is Anika. She's preparing for a trip where she's going to leave her daughter for the first time, and she's a little nervous about it. This is Tiffany. This is Tiffany right here. Oh, I forgot. Geneva is a lawyer. Then you have Tiffany. She's a realtor. She's a single mom. She has a kid in college, and she went through a bad divorce. We have Naomi, who is this one right here on the end. Naomi is divorced from a guy named Franklin. She got a lot of money in her divorce, and she's a lot feisty. She got some anger problems. And from what I saw on the show, or what I'm perceiving from the show, it looks like her husband may have left her for a white lady. That's my perception. That is my perception on that. Who else we got? Naomi. Then we got this right here is Rashida. Rashida is married to Pastor Jeff. So she's the first lady. Looks like she writes books. She counsels people. And it looks like they are having issues in their marriage right now. And this right here is Bridget. Bridget she is with a guy named Vaughn. She works for Rashida. They're not married, and they call her what did they call her? Loose Lips Bridget. That's what she's called. Okay. I think that's everybody. We've gotten everybody. They've been friends for 20 years, seems like. So we find out Tiffany and Geneva go to the school to pick up her daughter. And, they're talking a little bit about Naomi. And when they get back to her house, we find Naomi is there waiting on her. And she asks Geneva about the lawsuit. Of course, she hasn't filed. So she says she's going to fire her as her lawyer, which we don't know if she's going to do or not because they don't say anything else about it this episode. But we do find out they're talking about Tiffany needs to start dating again because she's been divorced for 3 years. And of course, she's not interested in dating right now because she was trying to say it'd been a few months, and we find out it's been 3 years. So I guess she's still a little apprehensive about getting back out there. We end up at the church where Rashida, I'm trying to remember all these people's names, baby. Rashida and her husband are having a meeting at the church. And Rashida, every time she says something, it seems as though her husband shuts her down or makes her feel away in front of the workers. So she asks to speak to him alone, and she tells him to stop undermining her in front of everyone. And he says he's not undermining her, but he needs to make it to this council meeting. And he leaves. We see where she's after he leaves, she goes back into the office, and we'll see Bridget is on the phone. She gets on the phone with Tiffany and Geneva, and she's telling them that Jeff is possibly inviting Franklin. And Jeff is Rashida's husband, and he's possibly inviting Franklin, who is Naomi's ex-husband, to this banquet where they're trying to raise money, or they're trying to have this fundraiser. Anyway, they're trying to find out what's going on with Rashida. Of course, Bridget can't really say. She says she'll get up with them later and talk to them about it. But then she ends up going into the office where Rashida is. Rashida is crying, and Bridget asks her. Rashida is crying, and she asks Bridget if she told the girls, and she said no, but she thinks that she should. And she's telling her she's trying to figure out how to uninvite Naomi to this banquet, because she knows if Jeff invites Franklin and Franklin shows up and Naomi also shows up, it's going to be a big issue. She says it's going to be a shit show. So she's trying to figure out a way to uninvite her. And we go back to Geneva's house, and Geneva has the daughter named Anika. And while Anika is playing with her dolls, she makes the statement while she's playing with two dolls. She says, "You're so damn fine." And Geneva tells her daughter that it's inappropriate for her to be saying. So the little girl says, "Well, Daddy says it." And her mom tells her again that it's not appropriate for her. She then says that tell Daddy to not say it to the pretty lady. And so Geneva is like, "What pretty lady?" And so Tiffany, who's still there, says that, kids have a pretty vivid imagination. Kids do have a pretty vivid imagination, but they just not going to make up, my daddy said this and my daddy said that. No, baby girl. No. But anyway, Geneva asks her again, "What pretty lady?" And her daughter tells her the pretty lady at the school. So Geneva's like, "Your school?" And she said, "Yes." Then she asks for the lady's name. Of course, the daughter doesn't know. Y'all got to remember, also know the daughter is only 5 years old. So the daughter says she doesn't know. And she asks if she works there, if she's a teacher there. And she tells her she doesn't know. And well, she doesn't know her name, but she knows she doesn't work there. She knows she's not a teacher, but she drops off her friend Maddie to the school. So of course she asks more questions because she asks, is it Maddie's mom? Of course, the little girl says she doesn't know. She asks what Maddie's last name is. The little girl still don't know. And Tiffany tells her, don't lawyer her, which she's definitely doing because she's sitting there and she is asking this baby 50, 11 questions, asking her all kind of questions. And of course, the baby don't know what's going on. She's just saying what she heard her daddy say. But anyways, the nanny comes and gets the little girl and takes her to get something to eat. And Tiffany tells Geneva that she shouldn't go off on the deep end. And the only difference between her and Naomi, because they say Naomi is the firecracker in the group. She's the little mean, evil, low down, dirty, shame. She's the low down in this little friend group. And so when Tiffany tells her, the only difference between you and Naomi is the fact that you do yours with a little more class. So basically, you and Naomi are the same. You just more classy with it. So Geneva asked her not to tell the other girls. Now we end up at Naomi's house. Baby, Naomi is a whole out here in these streets, baby. She done hired Bolo, Michael Boulware, for who don't know, he's Bolo. She hired Bolo to come satisfy her or whatever, and they get to choking and slamming and this, that, and the third, and she tells him he finna eat this, and with all that said and done, they do. He eat her out and do whatever they else they gonna do. Anyway, we get back to Geneva where she's questioning the nanny about Maddie and her mom. Of course, the nanny doesn't know anything. She then calls the teacher and she tells the teacher that she's trying to do, arrange a play date, and she asks for the parent's last name, which of course the teacher says she couldn't give out. And the teacher tell her, if you come to the parent-teacher conference, you can meet them in person because they want all the parents and stuff involved, not just, one parent. And evidently, William, who is Geneva's husband, has been at all parent-teacher conferences, which is probably how he met up with the pretty lady. Anyway, we get back to this scene with Naomi and Bolo, or Hakeem on this. I think it's Hakeem. Whatever. She's choking the crap out of him. He starts coughing. She's talking about, you got COVID or something. Like, you sitting there choking the heck out of this man. What you want him to do? But anyway, after they finish, she pays him, basically tells him to get out. And he's like, he can snap her neck. And he ain't going anywhere. And she's trying to log into this computer because I guess she's trying to follow the white lady. And he said, when she says he's not going anywhere, she said, you go. I mean, she's like super rude and everything. She ends up pulling her pow out on him. And he grabs it and he licks it and he tells her that she's his type of lady. So this is some crazy shit. But anyway, he helps her get accepted. I guess she's trying to follow the lady on social media or whatever. And the lady had blocked her. And he was like, she could use one of his fake profiles. And when she sent it or whatever, she accepted him. Anyway, next we're going to see where Tiffany and Bridget, they're out getting pedicures. And they start comparing notes about the friend group. And, Bridget is with some dude named Vaughn. And, of course, she works for, Lord, I'm trying to remember these people's names. I don't know why I'm even bothering trying to remember these names. Because I'm going to be like, shoot, she worked for LaToya Luckett. But that's not her name on this show. That's not her. She works for Rashida. And of course, Rashida is the first lady, and they talking about how her and Vaughn are still sleeping together because they shacked up and living in sin. And she says she's trying to get closer to the Lord. She's like, baby, it's one step at a time. Don't take her too fast. Don't take her too fast. And uh, she says she feels like there's something going on between Jeff and Rashida. Don't know what it is because Rashida hasn't said anything. She's not telling anybody anything that's going on. She gets close to telling it, but then she doesn't. Of course, Rashida has written a book, and Bridget thinks they need counseling, which they both agree that they probably could use counseling because the counseling evidently helped Tiffany and her husband for a little while, and then they eventually ended up getting a divorce. Geneva, then we go back to where Geneva goes to the school and pretends that her daughter has left a bear because she really trying to find out what's going on. So she's basically going down this rabbit hole that Tiffany told her not to go down, but she's going down the rabbit hole because she was told not to jump to conclusions. But baby, she done jumped to conclusions and done ran over everything. Anyway, back at the nail salon, Tiffany tells Bridget what Anika had said, and they're saying that they don't want another Naomi situation. So evidently, Geneva can get like Naomi. So we're going to see how this is going to play out. Next, we're going to see where Geneva is at the school flirting with the custodian, trying to get into the school, which he ends up letting her go into the school and into the classroom where she's pretending she left a bear where the bear is not there. Because, of course, she knew she didn't leave a bear there. So while they're in the school, she points to a picture and said, that's her daughter. Of course, the guy says, she's really sweet or whatever. She's flirting with the old man, telling him he looks 50. He tells her he's about 70. And then, she points at Maddie because evidently the names are on the board. And of course, the janitor, custodian, he's talking too much. He's telling all the business. And so he tells her what their last name is. He tells her where the lady works at. So she basically got what she came there for, because now all of a sudden she remembered she left the bear in another car. So back at the church, Rashida is counseling a young lady. And the girl said, Rashida was telling her about prayer and all of that. And she was like, prayer got her in this situation. And so Rashida tells her, prayer will get you out. And of course, the girl says she's only 19 years old. And she's asking about if the Lord will forgive her and all of this, that, and the third. Then she asks Rashida if she will forgive her. Of course, Rashida is like, she asks her if she's done something against her. She says yes. And so she asks her what it is. And she tells her, well, basically, I have been having sex with your husband. And, Rashida's husband is old Pastor Jeff, the one that's been talking down to her in front of other people. So now we find out at the end of this episode that it looks like everybody is a cheater at this point. We don't know about Vaughn and Bridget, but we know Tiffany is divorced from her husband. We know Naomi is divorced from her husband. We had two that still married, and we find out that Geneva's husband is caught telling somebody else, you're a pretty lady. And we find out that Rashida's husband, the pastor, is sleeping with the young lady that Rashida is counseling, and the young lady just told her that she's sleeping with her husband. And that is how this episode ends. I was sitting here with my mouth open, like, what? Oh my gosh. Oh my God. This what? And I don't know why that didn't surprise me, but it was a pretty good episode. I really enjoyed it. We're gonna see how the season goes. Drop down in the comments. Let me know what you guys think about this episode if you've watched it. And with that being said, that's going to be it for me. And I will talk to you guys soon. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Also, share the video. Have a wonderful and blessed day. Talk to you soon. Bye.